In a divorce situation, when one party is more resolved that the divorce should happen than the other party oftentimes can be very difficult and do and say things that will stall the process out, trying to avoid the reality that the divorce is happening. And in that case, how you deal with that particular individual is very important. And because there's some right things you can do and some wrong things you can do. And this video segment is designed to just kind of coach you a little bit on some things to be aware of. First of all, realize that if your spouse is being difficult about even participating in any kind of collaborative effort to get the divorce done, it's because they don't want the divorce normally, and letting them have an appropriate amount of time and space to process the decision that you have made to divorce is important. Also be mindful that you can give them too much time, because ultimately they will do lots of things to stall the process out, from making appointments and then not keeping the appointments to, like for instance, setting up an appointment to go see a mediator and then not showing up for that appointment. If ultimately your spouse is non-compliant and not going to go forward with your desire to have a divorce process that is going to go through using a mediation process versus litigation, you should know that they cannot prevent you from getting a divorce. You can go through a divorce process by simply filing some specific paperwork with the court system and telling the judge, my spouse is not being responsive. They're ignoring me. They won't try to mediate. They're not getting an attorney, and a judge will grant you what is called a default divorce. The mediator will explain to you in more detail what the default divorce process is. There's another process called a shuttle mediation that you can have a mediator attempt to reach out to your spouse and include them in a mediation process where it involves them and let them know that the divorce is going to go forward no matter what. And there's another video segment that we have in this video series that we talk about that in detail. But just note that if you have a difficult spouse, there's certain things you can control and certain things you can't. And if they're not going to comply with being collaborative in a mediated divorce, you might be forced to go forward and file the paperwork needed in order for a judge to grant you a default divorce.